Good evening, everyone. We're certainly happy to see all of you all here tonight. But before we begin, let us bow our heads, please. Eternal God, our Father, we thank you for your many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We thank you for all our citizens that's here tonight. Lord, help us and guide us as we make decisions for our city. And Lord, we ask you to keep our city protected, keep us healthy, and keep us blessed. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
We are here at our special meeting tonight, and the first thing we have on our agenda is Mr. Everin is going to come and talk about the first item, the old business, second reading on the ordinance to amend Chapter 2 administration of the city code by adding section 2, 3, 4 to provide for vendors procurement protest policy.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Good evening.
Our guests. As you've indicated, we have second reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 2, the administration of the city code by adding section 2-5.4 to provide for a vendor procurement protest policy. As you may recall, we've been working with the EPA on a grant, and part of the grant guidelines require that the city have a vendor procurement protest policy. I'm going to ask if you all would consider postponing second reading of this ordinance until we can further get the details of exactly. Our attorney's been working with the EPA and to get this language precisely right. So instead of coming back with another amendment, I think it's best that we postpone it for the time being.
Mr. Eric, can you just give us a little bit more detail on that, please?
Yes.
The inception of it.
Yes, sir. Again, this is a part of a grant requirement. We've been working with the EPA on a grant, and they said that in order for the city to be in compliance with the grant, that we need to have a vendor protest policy, a grievance policy for vendors. We've gone back and forth with them on exactly what language is needed, and we still continue to do that. So we think it's best if we could just postpone it until we get that language exactly the way they want it, instead of having to come back to you all again if we, for some reason, do not get it right.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, we would like to entertain a motion to postpone this, please.
Mayor and Council, I move that we postpone the ordinance amending Chapter 2 for the administration of the city, provided for a vendor procurement protest policy.
A motion been made by Councilman Kidd. Second by Councilman Stroman. All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it, the motion is carried. Okay, item number 2.
Okay, item number 2, thank you, Mayor, Council. Item number 2 is first reading of an ordinance for consideration of a zoning district map change from B1 General Business to B2 Central Business District for properties belonging to Fred Felder, located at 761 Russell Street. Tax map number 0152-20-01-005.000. Tax map number 0152-20-01-007.000, and properties belonging to the city of Orangeburg, tax map numbers 0152-20-01-002.000, and tax map number 0152-20-01-006.000. This is a proposal for a workforce housing project. We have Ms. Sarah Neiman with Prestwick Development, and she would kindly like to present the project to you all and to the public for consideration in terms of why she's requesting the zoning change.
Okay, let's hear from her first, and then we'll hear from council. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Sarah Neiman. I'm here representing the developer Presswick Development Company. We have met a couple times over Zoom. I've been here before also talking with the city to try and identify areas for workforce housing for the city of Orangeburg. I'm affordable housing consultant. I've made my life's career in working in this field since the late 90s, and I work with SC Housing and to identify locations all across the state. I do live in Atlanta, Georgia, or metro area of Atlanta, Georgia, but I work 100% and solely in the state of South Carolina. So I own currently myself 11 communities in the state of South Carolina, and I am a possible owner for this community that we're also going to be talking about tonight. Presswick is also one of my partners. They are a multifamily affordable housing developer. They own about 50 properties between South Carolina and Georgia, a couple in Tennessee, a couple in Texas, but for the most part, Georgia and South Carolina. We are looking at, what I brought tonight are a couple different boards to kind of show you the idea of possible renderings and possible ideas of what you can expect as far as what the property is concerned. Hopefully they're passing out to you as well a portfolio that looks like this, and they'll pass that out to you. I don't know if everyone at council has seen this before, but it is samples of all of our existing, or not all of them, that would be a lot of pages. But this shows several different types of workforce housing that we've built. There's some even in here that's market rate, but it gives you an idea of the different styles and the different products that we do. It also has at the back of it, a resume that also tells you about ourselves as well. And then the other one that goes with it, let's see, do I have a copy? Here. This one I also brought with us tonight as well, the one that has Peaks of Manning on the front of it. This is an existing product. I was trying to bring you comparables that are within driving distance of Orangeburg in case anybody would like to physically get in a car and go check out what we actually have in the ground today. Peaks of Manning was built in 2018. It is a very similar type product that we are proposing tonight, and it is managed by the same management company. And we also have in one of our packets too a letter of support from the city manager at Manning. It's a very successful community, and so that kind of gives you an idea too as far as something that's physically already there. The extra pages that go with it are just photos that I took last month. And I apologize, I'm not a true professional photographer. This is just me snapping some photos of, when I'm there at the property. One of the pictures that I wanted to point out to you was a picture of the door. And at the door, we're proposing something very similar when I tell you about all the different amenities that will come into the property. But this is a key fob access only property. And you can kind of see there also how you can access to it. Also in the back, I believe in here too, is also the Point at Elmwood. That's in downtown Columbia. So it's also a similar product, an L-shaped building that we're also proposing. So tonight I'm excited to bring to you the possibility for an economic opportunity to bring in workforce housing. We are proposing 68 multifamily units. It's going to be a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. They will have washer and dryer hookups inside of all of the units. And then also inside of the L, on the main level, we will house all of our community information areas. So we will have a leasing office inside of there. We will have a community room that will be fully equipped with a kitchen. We have a laundry facility for those who do not have a washer and dryer inside of their units. a trash chute, an elevator, a fitness room with full equipment. And I think you can see that even when you look at the peaks and you look at a picture inside of Elmwood, you'll see that you actually can see a small picture of the fitness room that's inside of there. And then we also have a business center with computers and printers available for resident use. Outside, we will have a commercial playground area, and then we also have a little pocket park that we're showing when we pull up the site plan here in a few minutes. The property will be professionally managed. We hire an independent management company that manages all of our properties. They are professional into what they do, and they are exclusive to management of all of our communities. Yeah, now you can kind of see the site plan that is proposed. This is the second site plan. Can you pull up maybe the other one? There should be two site plans. Yeah. Okay, so this one is just this one shows just the parcels that are up for the rezoning from B1 to B2. So this one really is just showing the actual apartment community. And you'll see obviously that it is an L-shaped building. That dark brown kind of little funny shaped square that it's right there in the center of the L, that is a drive-through parking area. So as people come in, they can drop off residents there if it's raining or if they've got groceries, et cetera. But that is the area that I'm talking about where we would house all of our amenities. They would be right there in the center. Most of the rest of the first floor is usually housed by one-bedroom units. We've learned that a lot of the senior residents like the one-bedroom units and they like them on the first floor. You can also see the playground that we have in the back, tucked in the back corner. And then at the corner of Russell and Seabourn, that is like a little bit of a pocket park. We'll have a little bit of shade and some benches for relaxation there as well. The property will also have security cameras that will cover all of the first floor as well as all of the parking areas. We will have regular office hours with local staffing, and all of the hallways that will go to each of the other floors will also be closed and conditioned. We find that works out really well as far as overall maintenance. It also helps well with reducing sound and also reducing just noise that would come out of the community. Like I had mentioned before in the pictures that you saw of Peaks of Manning, it will have a key fob entry. So the only way in and out of the property for residents is they will have a key fob. So people cannot walk in and out at will inside the community. You must come in to swipe your key fob in designated areas, and it's the only way to access inside and out. It is an additional security for all of our residents. We have talked with all of utilities on site and had conversations with electrical, gas, and water and sewer. You can see that we've got lines that are drawn there on the site plan. Those are all existing lines, and so we have set up the site plan appropriately, and we do have, after speaking with all of them, current capacity and current accessibility to the site. If secured with financing, we are looking at a closing of a time frame of the property closing somewhere at the end of probably first quarter of 2025, and we would not have pre-leasing until about the summer of 2026. So this is a little bit of a program that we need to go through with SE's housing. It doesn't pop up overnight. It does take a little bit of time in order for us to bring the housing to Orangeburg. Workforce housing. I think there's a misconception, as far as misinformation of what gets passed around. Workforce housing is not Section 8. It is not public housing. There is no subsidy that is here on the property. There is not a subsidy that is offered to a tenant. This is not the type of housing where if all I could afford was $40 and the local government picks up the tab. That is not workforce housing. Workforce housing is a program that was set up by SC Housing. It's actually a federal program. You are granted $1.75 per capita for affordable housing in your state. There is a competitive process that we apply to the state of South Carolina. We have already submitted in February for the preliminary application. Not only myself, but you actually have 4 other applicants that are submitting in Orangeburg County. I am not the only one. But we are all coming in. It is a competitive process. It is a matter of finding the points as far as what the state is looking for. And they have $23 million in federal credits and I think $15 million in state credits this year. That's going to equate to about 20 projects across the state. Orangeburg competes in what's called Group B, and Group B is more of your smaller communities. Group A is set up more for Greenville, Charleston, Columbia, your bigger markets. So you are in competition with, for example, Manning. You know, they would be, Clarendon County would be another comparable county that you would be going against. How it works is we apply for federal credits. We go through the application process. The process is, the application is due end of next month, May 24th. We submit. Once we get that information into the state then basically takes the summer to do underwriting, goes through the process, and determines on a scoring categories from highest to lowest on where you score comparative to everybody else, like I mentioned, across the state. Funding runs out every year, but again, this is all I do. This is what I do. I put in applications year after year after year. I purposely came to the city several months ago and started talking to them about locations. We talked about multiple locations. We tried to talk about, you know, where we thought, one, where you would like to see affordable housing is where as well I thought the scoring would come in. Once scoring does come out, if we are successful, then at that point, that's when we kind of really go full forward into starting to work at closing. How affordable housing works and how the program works is we get federal credits. Those federal credits are a dollar for dollar reduction of tax credits. We then sell those to a syndicator who needs, it might be the Walmarts of the world, the IBMs, it might be a bank that comes in and purchases those on a very particular cents per dollar. And then that helps us with about 30 to 40% of our total development costs. In exchange for that, we reduce our rents to make them more affordable to your working class. Rents are still what rents are. If the rent is $700 a month, the tenant must pay $700 a month. There is no subsidy that we offer in addition to that. Whatever the rent is set at, it is what it is. We then, after that, also will have a regular construction loan. The construction loan is then come in, and then we take out the construction loan with a permanent loan, just like you would have a regular 30-year mortgage on your homes. So that's how we're financed. All tenants that we would be looking for are required to have employment. We do not allow for any felons. They must pass a criminal background check. They also must pass a credit check. They must qualify, and they do have to prove income and employment. AMI, you're going to hear about as far as, you know, the demographics that we're looking for in workforce housing. Your average median income in the county of Orangeburg is $52,200. We are targeting the average person who earns 56% of your area median income. You do have similar properties that are already here. Those properties, there's about 5 or 6 that we have as direct comps. Every single one of them are full with waiting lists. Your demand here is incredibly high. You don't have enough housing for this type of demographic for who would live in these communities. And the last one that was built, Orangeburg has not seen funding in over 10 years. So again, it's a competitive process, and the state decides how they're going to allocate points. Sometimes your counties are given favor, and just sometimes they aren't. But the last one that was built was actually Parkside at Boulevard. That's Taylor Davis. He's a friend of mine, another affordable housing developer. And I think that one was somewhere around 40 units that got built back then. So it's been 10 years since you've had any activity of workforce housing, even being presented here in Orangeburg. Without workforce housing, what happens? You're missing a demographic in your community. You need your baggers at grocery stores. You need your hourly employees. You need people who work at restaurants. You need your entry-level people. As people graduate high school and come into the workforce, as they graduate college and come into the workforce, where are they supposed to live? Your communities right now are 100% full with waiting lists. You have one market rate property here, but those rents are closer to $1,500 a month in rent. When you're making $10 an hour, $1,500 a month may as well be $1 million a month. That's not obtainable. That's why workforce housing exists. You're filling a demographic where you need to build the base of your workforce employment that comes into the city. You have city workers who still qualify and can actually still live in our communities. You need a place for people to grow. You need a place for people to age in place as seniors retire and are now on a fixed income and are just on Social Security. We offer one-bedroom units, and so, well, they can also be in 2 or 3 bedrooms if they choose to, but it's also a place for seniors to also age in place. Apartments are for families and individuals who cannot afford a down deposit on a home. Not everybody has $10,000 to put towards a home. Looking forward towards the economy in Orangeburg, I see this as a great way to stimulate the economy and to stimulate the area of Russell Street and get an economic boost into what's coming in here. Railroad Corner came in a few years ago, and obviously they're now working on it, and they're working on their phase 1, and they have a phase 2. Similar type of zoning was done there. That was a B1 to a B2 to allow to have the mixed use retail, to allow student housing, and then eventually to allow faculty housing. Faculty can also live in our community. We see ourselves on the other end of Russell Street. We see it as an economic boost of way to put in, to basically kind of bookmark the two areas. I learned this afternoon, I was meeting with some of the representatives from Railroad Corner right before I came into the meeting tonight. And I learned today that you're also going to have a bowling alley that's going to be coming in. And so that's an additional part that's going to come in on and near Russell Street as well. And I think the goal is to bring things back into this area and trying to hope to spur and grow and put things in that will contribute to your area, that will attract residents, that will attract businesses. When I was here at Planning Commission just last week, there was a gentleman who was sitting in the corner, and he came up to me after the meeting, and he owns one of the local cafes downtown. He was ecstatic because it brings people, and it brings people into his establishment. That's our goal. I can't bring in a restaurant. I can't bring in, well, you're getting a bowling alley. I've heard comments of why can't we get a theater? I don't know. I build workforce housing. This was an opportunity. This is an independent private seller who is selling his land, who is deciding to get out of the con business and wants to retire. He wants to sell his property. This is a very expensive piece of property for the city of Orangeburg. You're going to get a comp that's going to come in. When we were trying to pull comps to see what was value, to try and determine the different prices on how we could determine land valuation, there's not a lot. So it's adding, an additional comp that will come in to the community, to your other adjacent landowners. I'm surrounded by buildings that are falling over. You know, some people ask me, well, why didn't you pick one of those? I don't know who the sellers are. I don't know if they're available. This was a property that was available. And, you know, we decided we thought that this was a good opportunity, you know, to come in and bring housing. We will pay taxes. People have asked me on what is the economic impact as far as when you come in. We will pay property taxes. Right now, you have very low property taxes on these parcels. We'll come in, taxes are based off of an income approach, and we'll run about $1,000 a unit on property taxes. I'm proposing a $25 to $30 million investment. I'm not asking the city to put any money into this project. This is going to be privately financed. And I think some people have thought too that you know, there was a possibility that the city was doing something here. We have infrastructure and things that are happening around us. That's another reason to come to this property. And, you know, coming in and putting in, I'm not putting in something that is low class. $35 million, $30 million property is going to be a very high, top-end, 68-unit community that will come in, and the city is not putting a penny in towards it. You know, lastly, again, I think we complement it. I think that the other site plan, I think that you showed, that was also on there too. I do have a proposal to purchase a little piece of land that is adjacent to the back of the property. And this kind of shows a little bit larger of a concept. Definitely not set in stone, but we thought that this would be something that the city would like. I do not need the extra parcel back there, but I've heard feedback as far as being able to offer some additional parking to the adjacent beer garden. That is something that we think we can provide. We have a city space that we're showing on there. We think that's something that we could help and work in partnership with the city. And then also that just shows, you know, a little walking area or something like that, that I think also will complement the rose gardens in the back tract there. So I hope you're as excited as I am to bring this opportunity to Orangeburg, and I welcome any questions that you may have.
Have you looked at any other property here in Orangeburg other than this that you could build?
Yes, ma'am.
You have?
Yes, we had, I had conversations with the city prior, that y'all have worked with a organization out of North Carolina to help you identify affordable housing parcels. And I don't think you had really fully got all the way down that path as far as, like, you know, truly identifying every specific parcel. But you know, like I mentioned, obviously there are other applicants that are also submitting, and whether or not they're successful, I don't know. But I have to look at what the scoring is as far as what the state is looking for, and I have to back into our best opportunity to make sure we get an award. There's 45 applicants in Group B. I really need to be in the top 8. I think I can get there. I think with this parcel I can, but there's reasons we chose this particular parcel. It's actually for the structures that sit on it. It is actually because it sits on Russell Street, and there is a economic plan that is already out there for Russell Street that identifies this area as far as trying to help economic growth. Those are all scoring criteria that will help us be successful for the application. The other applicants don't have those categories. There's actually one that is proposing a site, and it's in a floodplain and a floodway. It's not buildable. I don't think they know that, but I think they'll realize it as they go through the process and they have an engineer look at it. So I tried to look at as many places as I could, as well as speaking with the city and trying to help back into, you know, where are good areas.
When I look at this profile here, and I think about the garden, and what we will have down there, I'm just not right now pleased with what I'm seeing, because the garden is so beautiful. And to me, this type of building would take away from the garden.
So I'm open to as far as design of the building. Absolutely, I welcome any kind of comment. I was talking with the people with Railroad Corner this afternoon, and we were talking about, the buildings are not historic, but we talked about the front facade of the building and how it still says Orangeburg Pecan Company on it. And we like that. So I'm more than happy to find a type of plan that incorporates into it, that if we want to go with a different approach and have it look something more that looks more of like a historic building, then we can. And this is just, for now, a concept. I'm truly in a pre-development phase, so I'm at the point where I love feedback. I can take your thoughts and concerns and then try and rework something, and also bring that back to you and have you give comment, and, you know, I like this, I don't like this. It's also why we started to come up with the idea of the bigger idea of the site plan, where we would put in a walking trail or a walking path in the back, so that also would kind of be like a transition that would go from the apartment community to the parking and then into recreational and green space, if that makes sense.
I have a couple of questions. So you said the tenants would have to meet certain requirements to lease at this property. Are these requirements set in stone, or?
I mean, requirements are basically is you have to have employment. They have to income qualify. So they will have to come in and you have to show your W-2s, or you have to show your pay stubs. We will come in and we will, you know, basically help them run the numbers and make sure that, you know, we look for somebody who is not over debt burdened, and is looking for, you know, as far as being in a home and being in, whether it's an apartment or a home, you don't want to be any more than 30% of your income. So we help people identify on whether or not, when they come in, are there some people that may be turned away? Absolutely, yes. But, you know, that the goal is to try and capture it in. You know, I think we're looking for a lot of entry-level people who enter the workforce. That's typically who it's a lot in our communities. It is hourly people. It is your entry-level firemen, policemen, teachers. You know, anybody usually starting off in life in that type, you know, of situation. But as far as like qualifying, as far as income, you know, they have to come in, they have to show it. Every adult who lives in the community must show all of their employment. That's how we qualify.
So you mentioned something about 56% of the area median
Yes.
income, so those
Yes.
would be the people who would qualify. So that's kind of set in stone in
So it's
terms
like
of-
it's income averaged. So we income average 56%. So obviously, if 56% is a single person I think a single person at 60% earns about $32,000 a year. So 56 might be just like slightly underneath that on average. So obviously, we can have people that go slightly below that. We can have people that go slightly above it.
Above,
So that is a mathematical equation. So obviously, we have to average by what we are turning into SC Housing, 56%.
So 56% of the occupancy has to be,
No, 56% of the earners who live inside the property. So all tenants overall, all 68 units have to average together 56% of your area median income. So I may have some at 60%, I may have some at 40%. You know, it all kind of collectively works together. So as someone moves in, we then have to look at overall what the health and the economics of what the property is, and we've determined, you know, basically how we can, you know, bring in new residents.
And do you know what that credit score has to be?
I actually don't get into management, so I'm only on pre-development. So I'm always doing this. I'm always coming out and always meeting people, and I'm always coming to city councils. I'm the one who actually identifies the parcels, and I run all the preliminary numbers. Then once construction happens, I turn that over to our construction crew, and then it goes to the management company. The management company is independent from us. We hire them to manage the property for us, and they would have a full management team. So I don't know exactly what the credit score, I could find that out and let you know. But we would have a minimum threshold for that.
Okay, and in this package, are you able to identify the ones that are workforce housing?
Yes, so this one, that's all 100% workforce housing. In the packet, almost every one of them are going to be. Let me flip. Aston Point, that one's under construction, and actually it says Greenville, that's a mistake, that's actually in Anderson. That's under construction right now, and that's gonna come online, I believe, next month. That's a 90-unit community. Crabapple Chase is also 100% affordable. That one is in Anderson as well. Parkland at Verde is a phase 2 of a 100% affordable housing community in Greenville. This one sits in the largest PUD in the city of Greenville, and we're the only affordable housing developer that can build in there. The Eddy at Riverview Landing is 100% affordable, and that one is in a Metro Atlanta property. That one's to kind of show you a little bit more of a modern look, if you like that look. Parkside is also 100% affordable. That's also downtown Atlanta. Augusta Heights, 100% affordable. Augusta Heights sits within 1 mile of 3 of the wealthiest country clubs in the city of Greenville. This one had a lot of community interest, and we had a lot of neighborhood meetings with this one, and we had a lot of people who just didn't understand what workforce housing is. This one has become one of our flagship properties. It is, has been very well maintained. This one was built in 2009. So if you see, that's what it still looks like today. This was our first one that I developed with Presswick Companies. We are super proud of this project. And we've had a lot of people call us up afterwards and said, you know, we were afraid of the unknown. And this one came in, and it's a wonderful community, and it's a wonderful addition. And it's a very high-end community. So is also Parkland at Verde. Both of those are in very, very high-end communities. 100% affordable. Parkside at Verde, that's the phase 1 of the one I just said that's also in Greenville, also 100% affordable. Manor at Scott's Crossing, that one is a senior community inside Atlanta. 100%, actually, I think all these are 100% affordable. Merrimack Heights, that one's in Monk's Corner. That was one of our first ones that we did, obviously. That one's built back in 2013. And you can kind of see, as you look at the age of the property, how design standards change. And you can see that not every one of them is exact. But it's kind of back to the point of maybe a different look. Maybe you would like to see something different that's specific to the community. These are to show you that we can back into just about any kind of design standard. But hopefully what you see overall is you're seeing brick, you're seeing stacked stone, you're seeing hardy plank siding, architectural shingles, you're seeing different elevations on the front, you're seeing different roof lines. So the details are there. You know, it's just really what the city would like to see in the area. Manor at Broad Street is also 100% affordable. And the Point at Blythewood. Blythewood is a very similar, I think, kind of community. It's a smaller town, very similar to Orangeburg. We have 2 properties here now. This one is our family one, and then we also have a senior product that we built a couple years later in 2019. The mayor on this one was not, had some reservations on it, because again, we were the first affordable housing, workforce housing to come into this community, and they love it. I have a letter of recommendation from him now. Brightstone, I did not work on this one. I'm not 100% sure if this one is 100% affordable. It's in partnership with the Housing Authority of DeKalb County, so it probably is, because because it has project-based rental assistance on it. So I would guess that one is 100% affordable. And then that's it. Peaks of Manning, you know, the one that's on this one, I purposely brought this one because this one sits exactly what we're talking about today. This is in downtown Manning. It is one block on the side, directly on the main thoroughfare. And in the letters of support that I brought you, that's one of the other packets. The second support letter is the city manager of the city of Manning. This is a senior community. They are proud of it. You can drive by it. You're not going to find a gum wrapper on this property. It is very well maintained. They hold a 250-person wait list for this community. It's 45 minutes from you, so if you ever want to get into the car, you can jump in and go take a look at it. But this one is the same type of concept that I'm trying to propose tonight, where this one sits right in downtown Manning. Again, I'm also in this location too because they had a revitalization plan for downtown Manning. You have one for downtown Orangeburg. So it's another reason that sometimes we back into sites.
So the point at Elmwood, is that one market rate?
Nope, 100% affordable.
Okay,
Yep,
because I
yep.
thought you said some of them were market rate.
I thought
so
that,
that's why
well,
I
the one
asked
on the
question.
cover, the one on the cover, I actually think is a market rate property.
Okay.
This one is in Georgia. We don't typically put pools into workforce housing anymore, but it's also become more of an insurance and a liability, issue for us. So pools are just not a hot commodity, these days.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Council, are there any?
Yeah, I got some. Go ahead. I got some. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dr.
Probably take me a while.
Okay, I have no problem with any of your buildings. Your buildings look good.
Thank you.
But I represent this district, number one. And I've had people call me and say that they just don't think apartments should be in the gardens. I have to go along with the people that put me here,
Sure,
that I represent,
sure.
and I can't go against them. And I'm sorry, but it seems like you could find a piece of property with no buildings on it somewhere. And, you got buy a piece of property and have to tear the building down. There's plenty of property around town that's vacant. And I'm sorry, but.
It just won't score. I mean, in order to bring workforce housing to this area, it's the scoring criteria that I have to follow.
But I just can't find out, I guess I can't figure out why would they want to go in commercial area. There's a lot of people want to zone their property commercial.
So we put ourselves a lot of, in a commercial area because we like the walkability. When a resident comes in and they move into a community, not every person who lives in a multifamily community has two vehicles. So if dad is at work and mom is at home and she's got a little one and she wants to go to a grocery store, she may not have transportation. So we look for areas that are within walking distance. In this scenario, they can walk to Walmart, they can walk to multiple dollar stores. You have Rose's that's also there. There's also restaurants. There are things that they can go to as far as we look for walkability. So we like to be in an area. And then typically also multifamily is usually your buffer that goes between commercial to multifamily to single-family homes. So we've kind of, a lot of, when I come forward and I'm looking at zoning ordinances, multifamily is usually an appropriate use to sit in between those two. I don't have any single-family around me. Typically, we don't put ourselves directly inside the middle of a residential community. Single-family homes don't typically like that. So it's finding the balance to where does multifamily go? We can be, well, not in my backyard. We want it, but we want it over there. Remember, these are workforce housing people. These are people who are earning a very decent wage, but they can't afford homeownership. So to put them 2 miles down the road, or put them in the middle of nowhere, or put them on a side road where they have no access, you then have people who are landlocked. And then that doesn't work out well either. They don't have the ability to get mobile, not without mass transportation, that can't move them around. So, and as far as the gardens, that was my goal, was to try and use it as, I see it as a positive. I see it as having people come in and have a recreational area that's there. People can walk over and enjoy it, and I think it is a really nice, I think it's a compliment to be able to have the other tracts of land that will go with it. That's why it was our goal to be able to put something in that we also could add to it and put in, the walking trail or something like that that would complement and kind of be the transition that would go between the gardens and put it, and the affordable community.
People just don't want it in the gardens. I mean, I have people that's been calling me, they just don't think you should go in the garden. And I'm gonna tell you something, have you tried to walk across the real ones? I would try it. It's very dangerous.
I appreciate the feedback.
I mean,
But I also have a ton of support letters that we also have a ton of people that are in support of the community, and I think would like to see it here, and they would like to see the economic boost. I mean, I get that there's the rose gardens there, but it's the economic opportunity to come in and put something in. I'm a taxpayer, and I don't know what the revenue that is produced that comes out of the gardens. I think it's a wonderful amenity that the city has. I think that, I can't please everybody all the time. I mean, it truly is. It's one of those, I have to choose the best location that I think I can, and I think that you have the best chance at success. Do I think any of the other applicants that are submitting to the state will be funded? The answer is no. It won't make it. So if it won't make it and you've not had housing in 10 years, I believe this is your best opportunity, just from my experience, just from submitting across the state. It's hard to get these projects awarded and funded. They're gonna go somewhere, so why not Orangeburg?
Thank you, Sarah Newman. Let me just dissect some of the presentations you made tonight. In real estate, location is very, very important. And there's quite a difference between affordable housing and subsidized
Correct,
housing.
correct.
So we need to differentiate those two.
That's correct.
And you're using the word affordable. But then when you went into the narrative in terms of the workforce and also in terms of the percentage of the income, you mentioned Greenville, which I know about, the building, the real estate in Greenville, because my daughter went to school down there at the governor's school. Greenville and Orangeburg is not the same.
Correct.
Where you have that building in Manning, which I also know, that piece of real estate in Manning and what you're trying to propose at the garden, they are not the same in terms of the workforce. So when we look at the income level of the people that you want to place, because the garden is a piece of real estate. It's a high-priced real estate. And for you to put that building, which looks nice, but at the same time, the occupancy is the problem. Because we try to attract visitors into Orangeburg. And the garden is one of the exhibits that will bring people into the city. But then you're looking at the environment of the people occupying that area may make a difference.
Why would you infer that anybody who earns 56%
I'm
of
not
area
saying
median
that.
income
I'm not
is
saying
not?
because you are not the one who's running the business. What you are doing is building and let someone else run your business. So the terms of admission of occupants or tenants may not be what you have in mind. So looking at your support letter, it's a whole lot of folks that are supporting the project,
Yes.
which is nice,
Yes.
because Orangeburg needs affordable housing. My thing is this: for that piece of property and what you're trying to establish has to be something that is of the upscale, not just within
It's a
700 to 1,000. You know, because if you're looking at the garden, the price has to be higher than that of the people who can afford to live around that area. And your design, the building design, will not be something that will deface the garden. It is something that will be more attractive and at the same time more secured for the city. You mentioned about the railroad corner, and I'm seeing also the support letters from the people, the merchants and business people around this area. That brought something else in mind. You know, because I know you are trying to help Orangeburg. We need, from what you're saying, we need a master plan.
You do. You
Yes.
do.
We need a master plan from railroad corner all the way to the garden. Because if you're just putting a piece of property in the garden without a master plan, from the railroad corner through the downtown, it's not going to make, you know, much difference in beautifying what we have in mind to beautify the, you know, downtown. So everything has to gel, come together. But what you are trying to propose, and also the railroad corner. Because it's like putting a real estate all over the place without any type of plan. Because the one you're talking about in Greenville has a master plan. That of Manning, if you look at the environment, they had a master plan. So we need that master plan also with what you're trying to propose, which is really nice.
You have the vision plan. You have one that was put forth in 2014. And I've been very candid. And I have said, again, this is what I do. I build affordable housing. I try and bring it everywhere I possibly can. I do think it can be expanded upon. But it is why I'm in the location I'm in, is because that's the only plan you have. And so that is there, and it has value. You know, but if it's something to revisit, I highly encourage that you do so.
Yes, it's very, very important that we have a master plan to go together with what you're trying to propose. At the same token, we are elected by the people. I'm in favor of moving this to the second phase, whereby we listen to the people, to the citizens, and see what they have in mind. Yes. What they have in mind, because
100%. You know,
there
I
has to
think
be a
having
public-
something going
yeah,
forward.
I will rather give them, you know, the opportunity to voice out their opinion of what they think on the project. You know, that's just me.
The only thing that you have to be cautious about, again, it's a scoring thing. And you don't always have attention in the county of Orangeburg. You have it right now because you have a county that has not received funding in the past 10 years. So that, the scoring changes every year. I was here, and I was we were developing a project up off of St. Matthews. The last time I was here for affordable housing was 2013. It is not always possible, so that's why when I'm talking with the city and trying to figure out on you know, how to find a location, just because I'm here right now, there is zero guarantee that anybody will be at your door next year. The state loves to take everything And every time, I always say that I'm a master of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and I have to start all over, because the state changes the scoring criteria every year. If Orangeburg was a hot commodity in a hot county, you would have people here every single year trying to come forward to affordable housing. So you do have a window, and this is an opportunity. But there is zero guarantee that that will be there next year.
Do you have anything against the listening to the public, to the citizens?
I've not held, like, as far as like, minus walking out and literally walking into businesses and asking, explaining what we were building.
No, what I'm saying is
He
that
said,
because.
do you have anything against
Against
having
listening
a
to the
public hearing?
public hearing, do you have anything against that? Because second reading involves public
Oh, that's
hearing.
fine. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. No, I don't have it, no. I've had neighborhood meetings before. I believe knowledge is power, because workforce housing, affordable housing is not Section 8. And when they think someone's coming in and they're only gonna be able to pay $40, that's not true. So educating the public is one of the best things that I can do. Every time I come here, whether I'm successful or not, it's trying to educate councils of how you can get affordable housing. Nobody else is building it. You have to go through this program. Market rate properties. I would love to come in and charge $1,500 a month, but the current economy with high construction costs and high interest rates, market rate housing is basically dried up. So we don't have a lot of, my partners also do some market rate. The economy right now just is not, it's not conducive. So this is a way to help bring in affordable housing. So by all means, if that helps people understand, how affordable housing comes through, how you can bring it to your city, how you can offer this type of housing to this demographic of people that live in your community, I'm more than happy to share what I know,
Because
and
you
as
have
well
to-
as the program.
You have to share that program in terms of differentiating what is affordable housing and subsidized housing.
Sure.
And what the goal is.
Sure.
Now, if you don't build affordable housing within that range of 700 to 1,000, what else do you have in mind?
I don't. I leave. I cannot build market rate. And I can't, no one's gonna spend $1 million and bring in a restaurant. I don't have, that purchase price is so high. You can't get an REI. You can't get a Publix grocery store. That's too expensive. And so I don't have an option to bring market rate into the community.
I want to say this. I've listened to everybody. I want to say this, that we have, we are politicians, and we understand that. And no offense to you, because what you have said is wonderful. It's wonderful, but we have to listen to the constituents. That's why we are here. We have to. And they have concerns about it. The garden is a precious commodity, precious to this city. We have thousands of people come through the garden, look at there are people that have lived here all their lives. We are bound to listen to what they say. It's no offense to you.
Understood.
You've done your due diligence, I'm sure. But then we have to come back in our turn and do our due diligence. And the constituents are that's why we are here. That's why we are here. I've been here 11 years. That's why I'm here, because of the constituents.
Sure.
And I keep that in the forefront of my mind.
Sure.
And so anything that, at the gardens, was the back of the gardens or the front of the gardens, it will always be a concern. And I feel that we need to hear from the public. We need to hear from the public. I know you're in the window of, doing what you're doing. I
Sure.
already know that. But we have to hear from the public, because, as I said, the gardens is very important to Orangeburg, and the amount of people that we have that come through for the Rose Festival, and when the roses bloom, we have thousands of people come through there, thousands come through there just to look at the garden. So I just want to be mindful.
Do the support letters help?
Yeah, they do, they do.
I mean, a person who lives in workforce housing doesn't really come and attend city council meetings. I think the people who live in the communities, I mean, absolutely, I am all for any type of public forum. I'm all for a neighborhood meeting. I'm all for any way I can to share the information. But I think it also needs to be, you know, a little bit of a grain of salt as far as that's why we tried to like physically walk around the property and try to go to all of the people that are right there who would potentially work and live right there in that community. And so I totally get it. I totally understand, you know, how politicians are, you know, brought into their positions. But there is going to be a silent group that is not going to come out and say anything.
Mo, I mean, we just came through making a decision in the city not long ago, and we had to walk through it, and we did our due diligence. And when we made the decision, everybody on this council was, I believe that voted for it was comfortable, and we are not comfortable right now because our constituents are so concerned, and they are worried, and we want to bring some kind of ease to their mind about this if we're gonna move forward. But we have to listen to them.
Sure.
Mr. Hannah.
Thank you, Mayor. Looking at what was proposed, I'm questioning something here. It says that first reading of the ordinance considered zoning. And
Rezoning from B1 to B2.
consideration of zoning, yeah, zoning change. So I was looking for you to knock that home as to what reasons that we should change to that. I didn't hear that, but I did see and hear, and I did have persons calling to me, and most of the people who call me about this project don't live, some of them don't even live in the county, but they're interested in what goes on in our business in the city of Orangeburg. When I came to Orangeburg 40 years ago, I remember persons telling me about Santee, South Carolina, that Disney World wanted to be in Santee. Well, I hear it all the time, still hear it. What if Disney World had came to Santee? But you know, when I look at a Brooks Brothers suit, and if you don't know, well, most people know Brooks Brothers, it's kind of like a sort of high-end suit. And when I look at a belt suit, both of them to me look the same until you show the label on the inside. You don't know it's a Brooks Brothers. And you can look at these cars going down the street now. You would swear. I bought years ago, I bought a Genesis 13. And to this day, you know, people come up to that Genesis now and ask me, what kind of car is that? Is that a, what do they call it? I don't know. My friend got one. I can't afford that. It's like a $200,000 car. And they ask me, is that what that is? Because it's not a Mercedes. What is it? And I can't say what it is. It's a Genesis. But they look alike, or look similar. Now, when I go to the hotels, my wife got a craving for a hotel. She got a certain name. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's one I can pay for. But when I look at these hotels and they're being built, I used to tell you, that's a Holiday Inn. That's a Ramada Inn before it even gets built. It just goes up like that. Mm-hmm. I cannot distinguish, even after they build them, the difference between a Holiday Inn, a Hilton, any of those hotels. These buildings that you presented to us now, like you said, they can be modified, and everybody's not going to be happy going on. And I would love nothing better to see than the Waldorf Astoria built right in front of the gardens, so that people can afford to go into Waldorf Astoria. But that won't happen under your plan because your plan is designated. You working inside of a cocoon, and you can't go outside of that cocoon. You came to us and gave us something was good for some cities, many cities. It's just that the city council have to be on board with it. I applaud you for your efforts.
Thank you.
Let me just say that at this point, we need housing in the city of Orangeburg. But at this point, I just don't think we are satisfied with what we are seeing here. And is it possible to make a motion? I move that a motion that we cancel the first reading of considering zoning district map change from B1 central business to B2 at this point.
A motion has been made by Councilman Kidd. Do we have a second?
Motion died.
Okay, motion dies.
I make a motion for us to move this first reading, pass the first reading and go to the second reading and listen to the public.
Second.
Motion has been made to,
Denied.
to cancel.
To pass the first reading and move to the second reading and listen to the citizens.
Motion has been made by Councilman Kalu, and it's been seconded by Councilman Grievous. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. One. Yeah. Ayes have it. Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Okay.
Could I ask when is the
Second reading is May 7th.
May 7th,
May
correct?
7th,
Okay.
Public hearing.
Yes. public
Same,
hearing.
same time, will the public hearing happen, like, prior to council? Could you give me, like, a
The public
idea?
hearing happens, we have the council, and then prior to the council, the public hearing happens then.
Okay.
They come at 7, we have the public hearing first,
Okay,
and then we go into the.
but still
agenda.
at 6 PM?
Yes.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Item number 2, did we go into item number 2, sir?
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
For your consideration, item number 3 is first reading of the ordinance authorizing the transfer of certain parcels of real property with improvements, if any, located near the western corner of the intersection of Seaboard Street and Russell Street. I won't read all of the tax map numbers, but they're the same ones that,
Yeah, we have, okay.
well, actually, they're not all the same. So let me go ahead and read them. Tax maps number 0152-20-01-008.000, a portion of tax map number 0152-20-01-002.000, and a portion of tax map number 0152-20-01-006.00, and other related matters. This ordinance would cover or authorize the sale of a portion. As you all know, the city owns a portion of the property, or a parcel that's adjacent to the Pecan Company. Sears Group is offering to purchase a portion or half of that parcel to have that site plan that is before you now that would allow additional parking. They are offering a purchase price of $17,500 for your consideration.
Ms. Aaron, I think that, Counselor, I think that we need to hold this if we go number 5 for the public, so the public can hear this. I don't know the feeling of you all, but I think we need to hold this to let it be part of the public hearing.
Yeah,
I don't know, how do y'all feel?
that's something we.
Yes.
Well, if we move it for passing for the first reading, will it be a part of the public hearing next?
Oh, yeah,
time?
because we just, I'm sorry, let this be a part of the
Yeah.
first reading so we can hear it in the public. That's what I wanted to say.
Mhm.
Thank you. So I need a motion. I need a motion.
I move that we pass the transfer of the certain, or the parcels
Mhm.
read at the intersection of Seaboard and Russell Street.
In our first reading, okay.
in our first reading.
You're right, okay.
Second.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion made by Councilman Grievous, second by Councilman Kalu, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have, the motion is carried. Thank you. Our public hearing, I want to say this for the sakes of the public, will be May the 7th at 2 and at 6 o'clock. I think that's it. May the 7th at 6 o'clock. That's our public reading hearing, and we'll have that. We'll hear from the public. Okay?
I move for adjournment.
Motion has been made by
Second.
Dr. Kalu, second by Councilman Kent. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have, the motion is carried. Good night, and thank y'all for coming.